Hello everyone, it's Caribbean E. Welcome to the channel. Hope everybody just having a wonderful day. Everything is going great for you and that you find yourself in the best of health. Today I want to just deal with a subject that is really getting the attention of a lot of people, a lot of doctors, and they're having a lot of patients to come in during the COVID-19. COVID-19 has changed many things in our culture. And not just many things, but also it had caused many things to occur while in lockdown. COVID-19, a lockdown within itself can do something to a person that's not used to being locked down. It's also an interruption of plans. People had plans to travel. I was looking at a couple that traveled the whole world in 4 years and they had 1 million subscribers because they were just, after they got married, they decided they're going to travel the whole world. But when COVID-19 hit, they had to come from Philippines to Singapore and get into a place of isolation. Imagine traveling the whole world and get over 1 million views, and all of a sudden you find yourself just locked down. You can't go nowhere and do anything. And even in their travels, they had traveled to an island. They had their own private island. And I think it was in Manila somewhere, but they had their own private island. I think it was $194 a night, less than $200. But they only was able to stay one night because the next morning or the evening they got the news that the country is about to be locked down. Singapore, Philippines, and so they had to hurry and get out of there if they wanted to go. So they kind of locked down in one of those countries over there because of this COVID-19. I look at this virus as a game changer. But it don't have to take you out if you have the right mindset. It's all about trusting God when life goes haywire. And this is one of those moments when life goes haywire. So this is going to be a part of a series of my inspirational talk that I'm going to be giving. And I'm going to go through one subject or one crisis at a time until I get through this whole series of teaching. Trusting God when life goes haywire. And this is some of the things that storms can produce. In storms, it can produce a lot of things. It can cause you to do a lot of things that you normally wouldn't do. I've also noticed that in lockdown, a lot of people are going online for online love and online dating. The online industry, from TikTok into some of the other Bumble and some of the other online dating sites, they went up 82% since the COVID-19 hit. 82%. So these people that have this online dating sites making lots of money at this time. The subjects I'm going to be dealing with individually, and I'll give you a list of them. The first one is depression. Then I'm going to hit the subject of being bored. Then I'm going to hit the subject loneliness. Then I'm going to hit the subject being bitter. Then I'm going to hit the subject worried, being worried. Then I'm going to hit the subject disappointed. And we'll talk about the subject called doubts. The next subject will be I'm proud. The next subject, I'm afraid. And the last subject, which is number 10, would be I don't want to die. So all these subjects we're going to begin to deal with in the near future as I continue my inspirational talk on Sundays dealing with COVID-19 and the effects of this storm. I was thinking about the first word, which is depression. Because depression itself can lead to suicide. It has led to suicide. We have soldiers that are killing themselves, jumping off buildings, shooting themselves. And not only soldiers, but we have civilians that are committing suicide. I was told from not too long ago that there was a young man that was deeply in love with a young lady, and they were making plans to get married. But all of a sudden, the female called the wedding off. The guy had put all his energy in it, telling all his friends, his family. He was deeply in love with this young lady. But she decided to call the wedding off and call the whole thing quit and just left him. Well, that had a great effect on him. And he was so devastated, he took a gun, put it up to under his chin. I'll put it sideways because he was trying to shoot right here, I believe, so the bullet can go to his brain and kill him. But what happened was he shot it right here, and it didn't quite go to his brain, but it lodged itself sometime in his face. So his whole side of his face, right side of his face, is messed up. He found himself bleeding continuous, just blood just pouring out of his face. But he was able to call an ambulance, and they came and got him and took him to the hospital. And now he has to live with half of a face, going through several surgeries, one surgery after another, because of he was depressed and he had suicidal tendencies, and he tried to take his own life. And some of his closest family members, he did not reach out to them and tell them what was going on with them, because he did not want them to know. But this young lady is living her life probably hooked up with somebody else, while this guy's got to suffer those injuries on the side of his face, disfiguration for the rest of his life. It is amazing he didn't die. It was a miracle, the doctor said, that he didn't die. Depression is a killer. A lot of people don't deal with depression, but it pops up many times in life. It's an unwelcome, I would say, it's an unwelcome guest in our homes and our lives. Many pastors that pastor churches deal with deep hidden depression. Some of our counselors, psychological counselors, they're counselors, but they deal with some of the deepest depression that you can ever imagine. And I'm talking about these people that have went to school and got the training, and they are deeply embedded with depression. So today's talk will be about depression, because in life's roadway, it has many obstacles and dangers. One of the greatest of these is the ditch of depression that runs alongside. It is easy for burdens to trip us into this ditch. And having fallen in, we often wander around hopelessly trying to get out. So what is depression? What is it? I'm quite sure there's a lot of characters or prophets in the Bible that dealt with depression. Moses was one of them, and so was Noah, as he prepared to build the ark. Because when you're building an ark by yourself and people don't believe in the vision, He probably got depressed. But there was a mandate put on his life by God, so therefore he had to continue to build. And we'll be getting more into that in the near future, about the depression from a lot of prophets, whether it's major or minor prophets, that dealt with depression in the Bible. So Webster defines depression as being pressed down, gloomy, dejected, sad, to have low spirits. It also says psychological depression is an emotional condition characterized by discouragement. Are you listening to me? By discouragement and the feeling of inadequacy. I can't do this. I can't accomplish this. This task is impossible. So the symptoms of depression are a collapse of self-esteem. And I've met a lot of people in life that have low self-esteem about themselves. Some of the most beautiful and wonderful looking people, whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, but they had low self-esteem about themselves. And I looked at him, I said, how can you be so beautiful, woman? How can you be so nice looking, young man or brother man, but you are suffer with low self-esteem? And maybe this came up, or this happened in some people's childhood, that your parents always told you that you're never going to amount to nothing, you're never going to be nothing, so you grew up with that low self-esteem spirit, the feeling that no one loves or cares about you, the dwindling interest in others, an intense absorption in self. So men suffer, and women suffer too, from self-depreciation. You don't even appreciate yourself or any of your accomplishments that you've accomplished or tried to achieve. It just seems that this person who de-appreciate themselves just can't seem to do anything right. Everything they do, they tell themselves that it's wrong. Some depression is physical, which can be caused by physical exhaustion or an imbalance in one's psychological system. Depression may be caused by disappointment and the inability to live up to one's expectations. And not just to your expectations, but also others that put a great demand on you as an individual. Sometimes we put great demand on our kids as they grow up into teenagehood and adulthood, because some of your kids are made for college and some of them are not. College is not for everyone. Some people succeed in their college academics and some don't. So, disappointment and an inability to live up to one's expectation. Peter, who stoutly maintained that he would remain faithful to the Lord through all of the others that denied him. Peter, you remember that story. When the pressure mounted, Peter denied the Lord. And when the rooster reminded him of his failure, he went out and wept bitterly. And according to some psychologists, crying is a symptom of depression. Crying is a symptom of depression, but also is a symptom of release. Because at some point, you've got to get rid of that stuff that's in you. You've got to get rid of it. And sometimes it's good just to get all by yourself and boo-hoo all day if you have to. When there's a bad breakup or somebody dies, you mourning a loss of some person, you've got to get a release at some point. And sometimes in life, sometimes we use the wrong things as a release mechanism instead of just getting to God and talking to God who's a constant friend who won't tell everybody your business. It won't be on the news tomorrow morning. So, crying is a symptom of depression. A lot of people don't see it. A lot of people go to church and they cry compulsively. And sometimes we think they're praising the Lord, but they're not really praising the Lord. They're depressed. They have emotional issues. I watched it. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I know the difference because I deal with depression. Being truthful with you, I deal with it. A lot of us deal with depression, but we deal with it and we carry it in certain ways. So, depression, especially in men. Especially in men. So let me conclude. Depression also can be caused by success. Someone said there is nothing more delusional than having arrived at success. Therefore, it is not a shield against depression. Just because you're successful, that don't mean depression won't hit you. That's why you see a lot of people and famous actors that are jumping off bridges, jumping off buildings, successful, got all the millions of dollars they'll never be able to spend all in a lifetime, but they kill themselves, jumping off bridges, jumping in waters, jumping in the ocean, because depression told them to do it. Or like our famous actor, Flip Wilson said, the devil made me do it. So often the doorway to anxiety and sadness is depression. The moment we become successful, we are vulnerable. And I want you to know today, my brothers and sisters, and you that are successful, you are not exempt from depression. You got to keep yourself above water. Yes, count your coins. Be successful. Have a small circle. Talk to some people. But don't let your success get the best of you and take you out. If you got successful, there was a reason why you're successful. Because you did the right things at the right time. Continuous. So be happy for your successfulness. Be joyous and share your success with the world. That's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. So, depression is devastating because it cripples a person's life and draws him into his tiny world of introspection. Such a person becomes wrapped in a cloth of self-pity and is useless to himself and to everybody else around him. God and society and self-pity. Self-pity and gloom, looming gloom, can sometimes become so intense that one may see death as the only way out. So today we brought you the symptoms of depression. When life goes haywire, when storms come in your life and give you the feeling of you're never going to rise from this storm, I want to encourage you today, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Give it to God. Talk to God. Don't allow your circumstances to take you out. I hope you got something from this little inspirational talk. And I hope that you just pray about this and talk to a trusted friend or read your Bible. Get close to God. Because when everything is good, everything is good. But when everything goes haywire, that can be your biggest challenge. So hope you guys are just continue just to have a wonderful day. And remember, God is always there for you to reach out and talk to him. We have many soldiers that are in well vet, many veterans all over the world that are dealing with PTSD. My prayers are with you today. As I pray for myself, I pray for you. So, in the meantime, between the time, always remember life to be enjoyed. Hit that subscription notification, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.